Okay. So this little paragraph has a wealth of wisdom in it as it talks about wisdom. First of all, it talks about two different kinds of wisdom. There is true wisdom and there's false wisdom. And we're going to see three different contrasts of those two types of wisdom. The first contrast we're going to see is the origin of those two types of wisdom. Look at verses 15 and 17 and compare those two verses. Verse 15 says, "This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish." So there's that kind of wisdom that is not from above, that's earthly wisdom. And then verse 17 talks about the wisdom that is from above, that is first pure, and then it goes on and identifies several characteristics of that kind of wisdom. So each of us has some degree of both of those kinds of wisdom if we're born again Christians. And this portion is giving us a warning about, first of all, having the right kind of wisdom and using the right kind of wisdom as we make decisions in our daily life. So true wisdom is from above, but there is a false wisdom that is from below. In other words, true wisdom is heavenly wisdom. It comes from God, and then there is the man-made wisdom that certainly doesn't come from God. And as you think about stories of the Bible, I'm sure you can think of lots of examples where people exhibited man's wisdom rather than God's wisdom. Can you think of many in the Bible? Excellent. Good example. Right. The Tower of Babel, another good example, right? Lot's deciding that he was going to go and take the best land, not a wise decision. The disciples, when they said, no, we need to send this crowd away and feed them. And Jesus said, no, we'll feed them with what's here. But that was man's wisdom, that they would send them away. So we can think of any number of examples in the Bible where someone relied on their own wisdom rather than God's wisdom. So we have to ask the question, what's the origin of man's wisdom? Where does that come from? Verse 15 answers that question. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. So it defines it in three terms: earthly, sensual, and devilish. So in 1 Corinthians 1, 20 through 21 identifies the wisdom of the world also. And it says, where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. So there is this wisdom of the world that we have to be aware of. Is knowledge and wisdom, are they the same thing? Knowledge and wisdom? What's the difference? Wisdom is in effect putting knowledge into practice and doing it based upon, and as we think about worldly wisdom, we tend to think in terms of wisdom comes from experience. Wisdom. So as we get older, we have more worldly wisdom based upon the experiences we've had. So we can make decisions that younger people would not have the wisdom to make. And I keep telling people that more and more, that they should rely on my wisdom because I'm much older than they are. They don't pay attention, but nevertheless they should. Just kidding. As we look at the world around us, is fascinating, really, as you stop and think about it. This world is full of knowledge. It's amazing the knowledge that has come into existence in our lifetimes. Think about it. All the things that have happened in our lifetimes having to do with increase in knowledge. Think about transportation. Think about communications. Think about space travel. And you can go on and think about war, how war is being fought. And you know, a few years ago, I worked for a company that was involved in artificial intelligence. And one of the applications of artificial intelligence is war. And the Department of Defense at that time was working on, had in place at that time through this company's technology, the ability to look at, and with drones, the ability to look at any battlefield, and they would know exactly where the enemy troops were and exactly where our troops were. And using artificial intelligence, they could model what if, several different scenarios, and predict what would happen if the enemy took this route or what and then also predict, based on that, our movement should be this. And so what they were really saying is the day's coming when the best army, or the one who wins the war, is the one who has the best technology. And that's pretty much true today, that having the best technology is really the key to winning a war. So, but knowledge has nothing to do with wisdom, because as we look at the world around us, do we see more wisdom in the world today than existed when we were children? Quite the contrary, isn't it? It's really just the reverse. This world is upside down. Evil is good, good is evil, and the things that were just, people wouldn't even talk about when we were kids, today are just commonplace. And that's just the way life should be. And we should accept it. And if we don't, then we're being politically incorrect and just not accepting the world as it is today. So certainly we can understand that there is a wisdom of the world that doesn't match the knowledge of the world, and certainly doesn't reflect God's wisdom. The world by its wisdom knew not God, and in its wisdom, it rejects the very gospel of God. 1 Corinthians 1:18 says, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness. So to the world, when we talk to anybody who's not a Christian about Christianity, what do they typically think? They think it's foolishness, don't they? That's exactly how they will react. Man's wisdom is foolishness to God also. If you look at 1 Corinthians 1:20, it says, where is wisdom? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of the world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? So to God, the wisdom of this world is foolishness. And yet we know from 1 Corinthians 2:14 that that God's wisdom is foolishness to man. 1 Corinthians 2:14 says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. So as we talk to somebody who's not a Christian, we have to anticipate that they're going to think what we're saying is foolishness unless the Spirit has spoken to them. That's why it's so important when we talk to somebody that we do it with prayer, because we need God's Spirit speaking to that person. They're going to think what we say in our words will typically be viewed as foolishness. So only God can truly speak to their heart. Man's wisdom comes from reason. God's wisdom comes from revelation. And that's the only wisdom that counts. We know that man's worldly wisdom will come to nothing. 1 Corinthians 1:19 says, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise,